Okay, so in this video, we are going to focus on writing slope-intercept form equations from key features. So that means that they give us parts of the equation and we need to figure out the rest. We've technically already done this last week when we found them from equations, so I'm just going to quickly review that so you can remember how to write the equations from graphs. The first thing we did when it was a graph was we found the slope. So first we want to decide if it's positive or negative. From left to right, this is going uphill, so I have a positive slope. And then I actually want to find the rise over the run. So my rise is 1 and my run is 2. So my slope is positive 1/2. The y-intercept from a graph was pretty easy. You just find where it crosses on the y-axis, which is -1. And then to write our equation, we use the form y equals mx plus b, where we replace the m with the slope, which is positive 1/2, and the b with the y-intercept, which was -1. And that's how we write equations from graphs. Today, they're going to have some examples that are easier than that and some examples that are a little bit harder. So the first example we're going to see is a little bit easier than that. They're just automatically going to tell us the slope is -2 and the y-intercept is 3. So all I have to do is remember that slope is the m and y-intercept is the b. So I would do y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope of -2. And b is my y-intercept of +3 plus 3. So that's all we have to do for those. Let's try the next one. Write the equation of a line that has a slope of positive 1/2 and a y-intercept of -4. So I do y equals mx plus b. My slope is positive 1/2. And my y-intercept was -4. So just like we did in the first example, we're not going to write plus -4. We're just going to write -4. So that's all we have to do when they have those. Now, in some situations, they're going to be missing a key feature. So they'll be missing a slope and they'll be missing a y-intercept and they won't give you a graph. So we need to review how to find all of those pieces. The first thing you always need before you do any other steps, before you start writing your y equals mx plus b equation, is you need to find the slope. The way we find the slope when they don't give us it is usually they give us 2 points. So we use the formula m equals, I hope this looks familiar, y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. We're really not going to review that until tomorrow's lesson. We're going to be focusing mainly on how to find the y-intercept. So I'll give you the slope for all of them today, and we'll review that crazy equation tomorrow. And the way we find the y-intercept is you plug in your m, your y, and your x. So you're going to be given the slope and then a point. And that point contains a y value and an x value that you're going to plug in to our equation. And then, of course, we're going to write our final answer as y equals mx plus b. And our final answer, we only ever replace the m and the b. We don't fill in the y and the x for the very final answer. We use the y and the x to help us find the final answer, but we don't use it in our final answer. So let's try one. Write the equation of a line that has a slope of 1/2 and a y, or it doesn't have a y-intercept, it passes through the point 2/3. So we're still going to use y equals mx plus b. But this time we do not know, and I'm going to circle it, the b. I have no clue. I also know the slope, which is 1/2. The thing that is new is that we also know a value for y and x, if you remember how coordinates work. the first value is our x, and the second value is our y. So that means where there's a y and an x, I can replace it with those numbers. So where there is a y, I can replace it with a 3. And where there is an x, I can replace it with a 2. And when we replace it, we put it in parentheses, because remember, a number next to a variable means times x. And then this is still the part we don't know. We don't know the y-intercept yet. So now we're going to simplify it and solve it like a regular equation. So first we need to do 1/2 times 2, which is 1. And then we need to decide how to get rid of this plus 1. And we do that by subtracting 1 from both sides, minus 1. And that is what's going to give us b equals 2. So now we have the slope of 1/2, and we have that b is equal to 2. So I'm going to go back to my original equation before I did any of the solving. So I'm going to erase this for now. We found out that b was equal to 2. So now I can replace b with positive 2. So we solved for b, and then we plugged it back into the formula to get our final answer. Let's keep going. We're writing the equation of a line that has a slope of 2 and passes through the point 1, 4. So we use this formula. First, I'm going to replace the slope with 2. Then I'm going to remind myself that I don't know what b is, so I'm just going to circle it and worry about that later. But I do, or I can figure out what x and y are. My x value is 1, my y value is 4. So where there is a y, I can put a 4. And where there is an x, I can put a 1. Still don't know what the b is. Now I'm simplifying. 2 times 1 is 2. Now I have a one-step equation. 2 plus b equals 4. What number plus 2 equals 4? Well, we can subtract 2 from both sides to get b equals 2. Now our final answer, we need to write in the form of y equals mx plus b. We know the slope is 2 from the equation, or from the problem. So I put that in front of the x, and I now know that b is 2 because we just solved for that. So I write plus 2. And that's how we get to our final answer. We had the slope, we found the b, the y-intercept, and then we wrote it in the final form. We have 3 more examples to do. We have, y equals mx plus b. Let's figure out what we know. Well, it has a slope of 2/3, so I can throw away that m and replace it with 2/3. And it says it crosses through the point 3, 7. Well, that doesn't tell me the y-intercept, so I have to keep moving. So I need to replace the x and the y with 3 and 7. I know 3 is the x, so that's the number that I replace with x. And 7 is the number I replace with y. B is the part I do not know. To find b, I simplify and solve. 2/3 times 3 is just 2. And again, to get rid of a plus 2, I subtract by 2. And that's going to give me 7 minus 2, which is 5, equals b. Unfortunately, that's not my final answer. My final answer needs to be the equation. I did not give myself enough space for that, so I'm going to zoom in. The equation needs to be in the form of y equals mx plus b. We just found out that our b was positive 5. And we knew our slope, our m, was positive 2/3. So that's how we write our final equation. We replace the m and the b, and that's it. 2 more examples. I'll try to leave some space. We're going to use the formula y equals mx plus b, where I know that my slope is negative 1/2. And I know that it passes through the point 4, 6. So that tells me an x value and a y value. So my y value is 6. My x value is 4. And the y-intercept is this thing I do not know yet. So let's simplify and try to get that b all by itself. Well, negative 1/2 times 4 is negative 2 plus b is equal to 6. Well, negative 2 plus b is like b minus 2. So to get rid of a minus 2, we add 2 to both sides. Those cancel out, and I'm left with 6 plus 2 equals 8. So our b value is 8. So our final answer, we know the slope is negative 1/2, and we know the y-intercept, our b is 8. So our final answer needs to be in the form y equals mx plus b, where we replace the slope with negative 1/2 Okay, last one. All right, we have this equation here. It has a slope. We're writing an equation that has a slope of negative 3 and crosses through the point negative 1, 5. So again, we're using the formula y equals mx plus b. We know the slope is negative 3. And we know our y and our x value. Our x value is negative 1, our y value is 5. So we plug in 5 equals negative 3 times negative 1. And then we simplify and solve. So first I multiply negative 3 times negative 1. It's positive 3. Now I'm trying to get rid of a positive 3, so I subtract 3 from both sides. And I get that 2 is equal to b. I don't know why this was my favorite y-intercept for these notes, but it was. So our final answer would be y equals, we already have part of it, negative 3x plus 2. All I'm doing to get to the final answer is I replace the number in front of the x with the slope, which is normally given, and then b is whatever we find.